Welcome to 5.5 Questions with Dave Asprey. My friend Dave, he's a biohacker, he's an author and owner of Bulletproof Coffee. Dave, welcome to 5.5 Questions with Dave Asprey.
I'm excited to be on, I think.
So, Dave, enough of the formalities. People know you as the biohacker extraordinaire for peak performance and fitness. What is one of the most effective biohacks people can do to get fit and perform well physically?
It would be very tempting to just mention Bulletproof Coffee. So I'm actually not going to go there because I think it's pretty well known. So
it would be terrible if you even mentioned it.
It's a quick way to get a lot of energy in the morning. But let's talk about something that doesn't cost any money. Something from my new book, Headstrong. The idea behind this book is that if you can do anything in the environment around you that makes the battery pack in your body, it's called your mitochondria, that makes it happier, makes it perform better, that it frees additional energy that you can do whatever you want with it. So the most effective biohacks are the things that are going to give you more energy. One of the cool things is something that I just found out that you do in the morning, which is at the end of your shower at least, turn the water on cold, just for 30 seconds to a minute. This will trigger a vagal reflex, or it's called a dive reflex, and it stimulates mitochondrial activity. It makes you burn a lot more calories for the rest of the day and just gives you more energy. So it's free and it requires mild discomfort for a few minutes if you can just overcome that horrifying thought of turning the shower on cold.
Wow. And you mentioned mitochondria. Is that like a parasite infection?
It's like the midichlorians that control the Force in Star Wars. They actually named the midichlorians. It's sort of like copying mitochondria. It's not really a parasite, though. It's a bacteria from a couple billion years ago. And the traditional thing that some people will remember from high school biology.
Fundamentalists would say the Earth is only 6,000 years old. We'll just get that clear.
But those were dog years, so it adds up to 2 billion.
Oh, fair enough.
I'm guessing. Maybe there's like a time dilation over time, like Stephen Hawking time travel. I have no idea. But however many lots of years ago, the story goes, in some schools, because now we have some schools that don't teach this line of evolution, the idea is that these cells and ours came together, and all life on Earth that we know of that is multicellular is based on these mitochondria. They were little red bacteria, and either we harnessed them as our battery packs, or, and the view that I've really come to believe just in my deep exploration in Headstrong, is that they saw our cells, they're like, great, there's a petri dish, let's move on in. So today, we like to think of our gut bacteria as being this really important thing, and it is really important. But you have a quadrillion ancient bacteria, like orders of magnitude more than you have gut bacteria inside your cells, and they're calling the shots. They decide if a cell dies, if a cell gets cancer. They decide if a cell grows. They decide how much energy you can have right now. They make sex hormones. They allow your neurons to fire. They allow you to grow new brain cells. Like literally, they listen to the world around you, not you. They call the shots. So they're not really a parasite. They're a core part of you. And their behaviors, what they want, is what you want, even though they're a little bit separate from you.
So basically, it sounds like mitochondria are just parasites. And with that, Dave, you mentioned cold showers to increase your fitness, peak performance. Are cold showers more effective than taking steroids and colonics for fitness?
Well, I suppose it depends on your goals. There aren't a lot of things more effective than steroids, to be perfectly honest. You can take someone, a woman or a man, you can measure their hormone levels.
Or both. We're friendly to the gender fluid audience.
I think for the gender fluid audience, hormones are even more important because they're probably taking some extras. So what you do is you measure hormones and you say, all right, where do I want my hormones to be? In my case, I want my hormones to be at the levels of about a 30-year-old. And when I'm 180, and my stated goal, I think I can live to at least 180 years old.
And you're 175 right now, is that true?
Yes, that's true.
He eats a lot of collagen.
Yeah. a little bit of butter. That's pretty much all it takes.
So your aim is to live another 5 years. Go on.
Exactly, at least. And that's barring things like trucks hitting you. That can shorten your lifespan. But
I hadn't heard that.
Assuming that nothing traumatic happens like that, I believe it's within reason, starting as a 44-year-old now, to hit 120 years old. And I also know that between now and the next 80 years, a few technology changes, a few revolutions in our understanding of how our bodies work will happen. And there's no reason, if I go back 80 years and look at what changed, and you look at the rate of change, what's happening, there's no reason at all that 180 is an unreasonable number for someone my age, especially someone who's taking the steps that I take now. Now, I just got distracted by how old I'm going to be from your original question. So what were you talking about?
How mitochondria are parasites and colonics and steroids.
That's why I got into steroids. So yeah, I take steroids. I've been on steroids since I was 26 years old because I found out my mom had more testosterone and less estrogen than I did because I was obese at 300 pounds. I've gone off of them for about 3 years, gone off of testosterone, which is the one that I take. And I was able to hold my levels reasonably well with a lot of effort. But as a 44-year-old guy, most 44-year-olds ought to be on small amounts of testosterone if they want to have like a higher quality of life, they want to live longer. And it's hard to express what they do to your brain. But what we do know, and what I write about in Headstrong, is that testosterone levels and the other hormone levels affect your mitochondria and how much energy they'll make. So at the end of the day, I want my battery to be charged quickly and to hold a lot of power for a long time and deliver a lot of power when I want it. And this is about how do I hack the core power that allows me to be everything that I want to be. Colonics, gotta say,
colonics are just enjoyable. Can we all agree on that?
It depends on what's in the colonic. For instance, coffee enemas are relatively popular. And there's one warning for people out there, and I learned this the hard way. You have to cool the coffee off first. That was
I've never done that.
Yeah, I've heard that from a follower. But in all seriousness, a lot of people do that. It turns out there's pretty good evidence that it may not work as well as people say it does. I will confess, being that I run a coffee company, how could I not try a coffee enema at least twice? That's enough for me. It's super ampy, but I know people who really feel like it's helped them a lot. I also know a lot of double-blind studies and other meta-research that says it's probably not as effective as we'd like it to be. So it's not something I recommend, even though, frankly, it would sell a few more coffee beans. It's maybe science doesn't go there yet. So steroids, yes. Colonics, no. Although there is a role for colonics. Like they can be healthy for you. They can be helpful for you in many cases. And the other one, let's see, we had steroids, colonics, and cold showers. Cold showers are cheap and they're noticeably effective over time. You got to do them on a regular basis to feel the extra energy throughout the day. So steroids win.
I feel like with that answer, Dave, you've seen my soul. I feel very touched by that. Just speaking in metaphors. Dave Asprey, you have a new book, Headstrong. You've mentioned the book. I've mentioned that you've mentioned the book, and now I mention your book. So with Headstrong, you're all about how you can hack the brain to make yourself smarter, think faster, and clearer. What has to happen in the brain for it to function better?
There's something called brain-derived nootropic factor. In order for you to have neuroplasticity, which is the ability to respond better to your environment so that you'll change your brain. You don't want to get that rigidity that comes with age where it's harder for you to learn, it's harder for you to pick up new skills. Number one, you've got to have enough mitochondrial activity, and then you've got to have enough food in your brain. There's two kinds of food that I'm talking about here. One of them is just energy. You've got to get electrons in that powers the semiconductors that are your mitochondria. And then you've got to get building blocks in that allow you to build new cell membranes and allow you to put down even like new bones in the rest of your body. You don't really have bones in your head other than your skull. But the idea is you have all these different, we'll call them cofactors, vitamins, and something very important is called polyphenols. And when you get all of these things in, you get an amazing improvement in how your brain can work just from getting energy in and then making the creation and recycling of energy more efficient.
What'd you say? I didn't catch any of that. And Dave Asprey, let me ask you this. Don't you think just doing a crown chakra meditation would be more effective?
It probably...
Game, set, match. Right there.
Was that my half question?
Dave Asprey, in your book, Headstrong, still called Headstrong, you talk about the 5 brain weaknesses. Forgetfulness, and I forget the other 4.
There were 5 in there?
Low energy, fatigue, which is the same as low energy, poor mental focus, cravings, and moodiness. What do we do with those 5 brain weaknesses? What kind of information can you derive from them?
When you know which of those you have, and inside the book I explain how you can tell which brain weakness is...
I'm getting angry right now, by the way.
Is that unusual, or...
It's the moodiness.
It's the moodiness. All right, that's moodiness
brain
going on.
Strengthening.
In your case, lack of coffee is almost certainly a core thing there, I would just guess. In fact, I got to say, for some of those brain conditions, it doesn't have to be coffee, but it can be a lack of polyphenols in the diet. When you eat something like the Bulletproof diet or a really healthy diet full of vegetables, you're going to get about 1 gram of these brightly colored chemicals from your food. This is one of the reasons that eating your vegetables matter. It's not just the fiber. It's not because there's some magic amount of energy in your vegetables. Vegetables are terrible at delivering energy to the body. That's why raw vegans are not going to be high energy unless they eat sugar all the time. You can't get enough energy in.
Ouch.
Ouch is right. By the way, I was a raw vegan for quite a while. I don't speak without experience from that. And when you get as many vegetables as a non-grain, non-bean, non-potato eating raw vegan would eat, which would basically mean you're eating all the time, you're probably going to be approaching the level of polyphenols that give you the best brain function. So what we do to get polyphenols is, and we fought wars over this, the number 1 source is coffee. Number 2 is tea, which drove essentially a lot of civilization of the East. The original salt routes became tea trading routes. And even today, the global trade in tea is really important. Spices are also very, very high in polyphenols. So is chocolate. And so to a certain extent is wine, but wine is very small compared to chocolate or coffee or tea. So what we've done as a species is we've optimized so that we get these brightly colored blue, red, yellow, and sometimes green, purple, these dark colored pigments, because these pigments actually help us make energy inside our head. We didn't understand this until very, very recently. We just thought these were antioxidants to stop free radicals. They actually catalyze the creation of energy. So on the Headstrong program, to address all of those things, one of the core things you can do, aside from getting high energy food into the brain, into the body, is you can actually get more polyphenols in that, instead of just allowing you to have high energy, they make it easier for you to make more energy with the food that you take. So getting enough in and then using it most efficiently with the least amount of waste equals the best performing brain. Hypoglycemia goes away. Forgetfulness goes away. This kind of brain fog, or just I need to take a nap, all of those go away, and you're like, wow, I have all this energy. In fact, a lot of people require, they just need less sleep to be fully rested, because the process of sleep is more efficient when you have better energy.
So to hack the brain for faster cognition, to become smarter, you can eat polyphenols. And I think we can all agree there's a big debate. Do those even exist? I've never seen them. So anecdotally, polyphenols. What is another simple strategy, brain hack, that we can do to think faster and smarter?
There are...
And so, by the way, some say, JP, you couldn't possibly be smarter. So for other people.
For other people, I won't ask you to do this one because you might levitate or something. I would be embarrassed. So it would be okay for me to teach people one of them really quick?
I'll allow it.
All right. It's called a box breath. And breathing changes oxygen levels. It also changes the second by second monitoring of the environment that your mitochondria are doing. So they're constantly worried about running out of air, running out of anything. These are the core source of the feelings of not having enough, of neediness and things like that. So doing a box breath takes you out of fight or flight mode, where your mitochondria are optimizing energy for running away from scary things, and puts you back into the parasympathetic mode, where your mitochondria are optimizing your energy for rest and repair or creativity or relaxation. So either kill or relax. And you want to just be able to go out of kill mode into relax mode. The odds are that you don't even know you're in kill mode some of the time, because it's a very subtle switch in the energy states of your body. It is one that we can measure, though, so it's real. But in order to get out of this, here's what you do. You breathe out all the way, and then you breathe in for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's in through the nose. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out slowly to a count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you just hold your breath empty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do a few of those breaths in a row before you go to sleep, anytime you're feeling stressed. And what this does is it literally takes you out of this mode where you're wasting energy from your mitochondria, getting ready to run away from things that aren't scary, and frees that energy up so that you can then apply it towards willpower, towards doing whatever the heck it is you want to do.
Wow. I didn't expect you to turn this discussion so political, but you went there. Dave, what are some of the common mistakes people make that give them terrible brain function?
One of the biggest mistakes that you can make is eating fried stuff. When you eat that basket of French fries, it is worse for you than smoking a cigarette, which is also not a really good choice. A cigarette's going to negatively affect circulation in the brain for about 4 hours, and nicotine itself from the cigarette is actually a smart drug. So smoking bad, nicotine, actually in the book I write about how to use nicotine in very low doses as a mitochondrial enhancer, and a really well-researched smart drug that is good for you. Now, that's a little bit controversial, but the science is there. The bowl of French fries, though, or fried wings or whatever the heck it is you're going to eat, for 24 hours, it changes your blood flow. It changes the lining of your arteries. It changes the inflammation in the brain. Anything that increases inflammation in the brain decreases cognitive performance. So if you want to be on the ball for your big date tomorrow, for your job interview, for your board meeting, for whatever the heck it is, and you go out to dinner and you order the fried calamari as your appetizer versus a salad, you are actually doing something that will affect your energy for at least 24 hours, even if you don't really know it. You'll have more food cravings, you'll be more tired, you'll be more hangry, you'll be more cranky, you get the hypoglycemia, the whole 9 yards. And then the next day when you want to bring it, you will not have as much energy as you could have had. You might have enough energy, you still might do well, but you had more capacity and you threw it away because you ate the fried stuff.
I like that. So what I heard you say is, if you want to take advantage of people in your life, the best thing to do is make them dumber. And the best way to make them dumber is feed them fried food. Does that get to the heart and soul of your life's work, your passion, making people dumber?
It's pretty close. I can tell you that there is one company in Silicon Valley that is now acquired by Oracle. They were once one of the many billion-dollar companies. They had a rule: no pasta lunch, because a high-carb, low-fat lunch will put you in a coma later. That's another way to really sabotage yourself. Except if there was a negotiating session going on, they would bring in the high pasta lunch for the people they were negotiating with on the big deals, because they knew that their willpower would be lower as their energy went down. Your willpower matches the amount of energy your body can bring. When your blood sugar is crashing from a starchy, sugary lunch, you're going to, can we just get the deal done? I'm tired. I need candy. And then you're going to cave. So your job is to use this knowledge to make sure that those tricks don't work against you, and to make sure that you're always in just your natural state of highest power. And if you should accidentally feed deep fried carbohydrates to your enemies, I wouldn't recommend doing that, because it'd be just probably nicer things to do, but it's better than losing.
But you wouldn't not recommend it?
I wouldn't not recommend it. Yeah.
So you heard it, folks. You want to feed your enemies, your friends, and your family fried carbohydrates. So moving along, Dave, you want to live to be 180. You've shared some of your wisdom with us. How do you plan on doing that?
The act of aging itself is death by 1,000 cuts. And we have 5 main theories of aging, and one of them is really your mitochondria. The less effective your mitochondria are, the more quickly you age. About 48% of people under age 40 have what's called early onset mitochondrial dysfunction. In other words, if everything worked the way it was supposed to work naturally, you would have about perfect efficiency in your mitochondria. And then after age 40, it just stops working. Everyone after age 40 has mitochondrial dysfunction. They don't call it early onset, they call it aging. So my goal is to keep my mitochondria working like those of a young person. Imagine your cell phone. When you first get it, you charge it charges quickly, it holds a charge all day. And after you've charged it a few hundred times, it maybe takes longer to charge and it runs out of battery by 4 in the afternoon. Do you also run out of battery at 4 in the afternoon? That's not that uncommon. So what would it feel like if your battery always was like it was brand new? So the activities in Headstrong are designed to make that happen, and then to address some of the other things like shrinkage of the brain that happens over time. I just did a bunch of brain scans, and we looked at my hippocampal volume, which is basically how much has my hippocampus shrunk, and they do shrink as you age. I'm in the 86th percentile for my age group, which means that mine hasn't shrunk much at all. That means that this sort of stuff works. It means eating the right kinds of undamaged fats, including saturated fat. It means not exposing myself to things that cause excessive inflammation, like fried foods and chemicals and processed foods and pollutants and things like that. And then avoiding all of the other things around aging that we know cause damage, but allowing there to be enough stress to make the cells prune themselves. And I do that through something called Bulletproof intermittent fasting, which is a part of this. I do this through bringing ketones into my body. I do that with brain octane in my Bulletproof coffee, which is an external source of ketones that affects the amount of free radicals made in the mitochondria. I meditate. In fact, there's a really cool meditation in the book where it's designed for your mitochondria, and it's a meditation that was written by one of 12 living grand masters of a Chinese meditation lineage that was designed to protect the emperors of China. And there's some kind of woo-woo energetic stuff in there, but the point is that your mitochondria sense whether you're in a deeply grounded, restful state or whether you're in an agitated state. If you're in an agitated state, they're going to steal energy and use it to get ready to run away. And if you're constantly in that state, it doesn't work. So this meditation is designed and custom written for Headstrong in order to allow you to more closely align with what the mitochondria are trying to do so that they can be a little bit more chill, which frees up more electrons for you to use for your willpower, to use to play with your kids or to grow your career, or just to do whatever you want to do. Like, it's energy that's just kind of getting vibrated away and used in a useless way, but it's energy that's actually yours that you can reclaim.
I feel like that answer took 180 years.
It probably did from your perspective because of your mitochondria, maybe?
Thank you. Dave, there's a lot of excitement about your new book that's out, Headstrong. Where can people get this?
If you go to orderheadstrong.com before April 4th, I'll give you some bonuses and tell you where to go get it, which is basically anywhere books are sold. And after that, you should be able to buy this in just about any bookstore. It's published by HarperCollins, and I am really expecting a lot of people to benefit from the book, so I'd be grateful if people checked it out at orderheadstrong.com.
Well, I'm absolutely excited about the book. Actually, what language is this in? Doesn't even make any sense. But nonetheless, I'm excited for this. You've got this handsome guy on the cover. Just like my father always taught me, son, you should always judge a book by the cover.
Thanks, JP.
You're welcome. Dave, thank you for joining us.
When did I get my half question?
That was the half question. Cut.